Thank you for coming today. I also want to thank our hosts, Game Time. It's a beautiful facility. For those of you who haven't been here before, make sure you walk around and take a nice tour. We've got a big announcement today, and we're very excited between Oakland University and Team Renegades and Game Time. The flow for today, President Ora Hirsch-Pescovitz is going to make the general announcement, and then Steve Waterfield, our Director of Athletics, will get into more details about the first varsity effort. After that, for the club recreation aspects, Greg Jordan, Director of Recreation and Wellbeing. And then for the facility and for the team, Chris Ramayo will give a few words, and then we'll have the opportunity for photos, one-on-one questions, group questions. So without further ado, I want to call up Oakland University's 7th President, Ora Hirsch-Pescovitz.
Well, thank you so much, John. And I just have to say how absolutely excited I am to be here today when Oakland University is announcing the establishment of Esports as a varsity team sport. Oakland, as many of you know, is one of a growing number of higher education institutions around the country that's embracing esports, which are organized video game competitions that attract both students and spectators. Now, what is really unique is that Oakland is the first Division I school in Michigan to establish a varsity esports program. And we're intending for our team to begin competition in the fall of 2020. Oakland University is also very proud to be announcing a partnership with Team Renegades, a professional esports team that's based right here at Game Time in Auburn Hills. And what we're particularly proud of is the fact that this partnership, as far as we know, is the first time in the world that a university is partnering with a pro team. So this is also really extraordinary. Working with OU student athletes, Team Renegades will serve as mentors and will provide expertise as we at Oakland launch our esports initiatives. To date, Oakland University has had active club esports teams through our Office of Student Involvement. But today's announcement adds esports as a varsity sport and will be providing expanded opportunities for the club esports teams. And we believe that both the club and varsity teams will enhance the various range of ways that our students will engage on campus with one another. We are so proud that at Oakland, we promote discovery and inquisitiveness. Growing the presence of esports at Oakland and establishing an esports team positions us to respond to the range of emerging opportunities of esports and anticipate students' expectations and learning skills in the cyber age, which is coming fast. Universities must be entrepreneurial and open to new approaches to teaching and learning, including novel areas of exploration. And we know that the popularity, the learning potential, and student engagement possibilities of esports places Oakland in the forefront of translating what can only be described as an unbelievable phenomenon into a relevant educational context. Through esports, there's the potential to recruit and to retain students, many of whom are studying a variety of fields like STEM-related disciplines, computer science, design, art, journalism, music, and many other areas. And we also believe that esports is a way to engage online students in OU campus culture. Esports is also a popular and competitive approach to building teamwork and also promotes self-directed learning. And so we also believe that interactive multimedia is among the fastest growing academic fields. And that is another reason why we are so very, very excited about what we're doing here today. Establishing esports as a varsity team sport broadens the many ways that we engage our students, and it encourages critical thinking skills. We're also going to review the kinds of games that students can play. We'll be focusing on team building skills and reviewing the regulations and enforce those that are critical and the standards that are involved in esports. And in order to tell you a little bit more about all of that, I'd now like to invite our terrific athletic director, who's really been amazing in thinking up creative ideas like this one. And for that, I'd like to introduce you to Steve Waterfield, Oakland University's amazing athletic director. Come on out, Steve.
Thank you, Laura. It's such an exciting day as we start a varsity esports program here at Oakland University and really place ourselves on the leading edge with our partnership with Team Renegades, the professional esports team. I want to thank Aura for her leadership and vision. This would not happen without her support and her willingness to move in this direction. The cabinet members that are here, all of them played a role in getting us to this point, and without their help and their leadership in their areas, it would not have happened. Team Renegades, in particular, Jonas Jerebko, Chris Romaya, and Jeff Zajac, your support council, your belief in this partnership and to get it off the ground was instrumental. It really is, from what we can tell, the first in the world. And it's great to be first, and it's great to be first in the world here at Oakland University with Team Renegades. And then finally, athletics department and Oakland University staff, many that are here, many that aren't here, but all work together to achieve and move towards a common goal, which to me is so critical to what we do at Oakland University. Back in July of 2018 at my introductory press conference, I mentioned 4 things that really were going to be focal points for the Department of Athletics. And those 4 things remain as important today as they were back about 16 months ago. And esports fits so well with those 4 focal points, and not only does it fit well with them, it also advances each of them. One was the student athlete experience. These esports student athletes or gamers will be full-time students that will have academic and conduct expectations, that will be treated as our other student athletes are treated and provided the resources to succeed athletically, academically, and personally. I'm a firm believer that college athletics remains one of the very best vehicles to bring people of different backgrounds, life experiences, life stories, and beliefs together in one area to pursue a common goal. And I can't wait to welcome our varsity esports student athletes to this mix and have them join us. The second thing was compete for championships. Make this clear, I'm here to win. We're here to win in esports and win at the varsity level. Our unique partnership with Team Renegades allows us and positions us very well for that. But our goal is to be the very best esports varsity program in the country, and we'll work towards that. A lot of work that goes into it, but I would not do this if we weren't expecting to be competitively successful on a consistent basis. The third thing was campus collaboration. This is a byproduct today of a lot of people working together over the course of many months to figure out the best way to position Oakland University for success in this area and to position the varsity esports team for success. To me, it was so important that this announcement be much more than just a varsity esports team. This needed to be a university-wide initiative and commitment to grow at all levels, whether it's academics, whether it's the club, whether it's varsity. And I'm so excited to see it happen, and it prevents so many opportunities for future growth and collaborations that I'm excited to pursue. And lastly is community engagement. Obviously, the partnership with Team Renegades, the continued growing presence of esports in Southeast Michigan, and the current and future corporate support and community support means so much. It makes all of those groups and people better for it. We can engage and connect with the community. About 20 years ago, I started as an athletic administrator at Ohio State, and I could never have envisioned the day where varsity esports was part of an athletics program, in that we would be working with a professional esports team. I'm pleased that day has arrived. I'm excited that Oakland University is claiming its place at the forefront of this phenomenon. I'm very proud that the athletics department is part of the university's commitment and has created such a unique partnership with Team Renegades as a professional esports team. And most importantly, I'm delighted to welcome officially Golden Grizzlies esports student athletes to our athletics family and look forward to having them start in the fall of 2020. I thank you all so much for being here, and certainly look forward to seeing you all at our varsity esports competitions in the fall of 2020. This time I want to introduce Greg Jordan, our Director of Recreation and Wellbeing, for some remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Aura, for your leadership and support in this initiative. Again, my name is Greg Jordan. It's my privilege to serve Oakland University as the Director of University Recreation and Wellbeing. This is very exciting news, and I'm glad to be a part of the event this morning. The plunge into esports at Oakland University is a bold initiative as an institution, and certainly from an athletic perspective, and I congratulate Steve and his team for making this happen. But beyond that, there will be significant impact on the overall student population and their engagement with esports at the club sport level, at the intramural sport level, and in general recreation play. And that will help serve, as Aura said, connecting students to Oakland University. We know that there is interest and demand in all these levels, as OU students are currently active as gamers and spectators of a variety of esports. All you have to do is come by the Oakland Center, our student union, on any Friday night, a lot of times during the day as well, and you see an awful lot of gaming activities going on. You'll see that firsthand. We will grow these opportunities moving forward on campus. We will identify and develop campus gaming locations using existing facilities, potentially in the Oakland Center and possibly in the Recreation Center or university housing or other appropriate locations on campus. Currently, as I mentioned, there are a couple of independent club sport student organizations dedicated to specific games. We see the evolvement of a larger student organization dedicated to esports in general, than with subsets of students playing specific games. These club sports will be both competitive and recreational organizations that will have the potential to play any number of games, limited only to the ones students seek out and have approval from our department. As Laura mentioned, we will have the ability to oversee and suggest and monitor the activities and do this in a very productive manner. There is a significant club sport competition available at the state, regional, and national level. And then briefly, our club sport program at Oakland University is under the guidance of our department. And we currently have 28 clubs involving over 600 students participating in sports such as ice hockey, rugby, soccer, lacrosse, and football. These highly competitive programs engage in their respective sports on a national level, and we have won several national championships in our history. And as a matter of fact, tomorrow, our club sport football team is playing Ohio State. I know which way you're going to lean.
Go Grizzlies.
Yeah, you go Grizzlies. For a national championship at the club level. Tomorrow the game is at 1 o'clock, and I just hope Chase Young is not available to play for Ohio State. But we wish our Golden Grizzlies good luck tomorrow. So we see these esports clubs as a perfect fit within our organization. The club will compete at a national level in the games that they choose. Opportunities will also be there for competition at the intramural sport level, just within Oakland University, as well as just recreational open gaming that students have learning about esports. Again, we are identifying potential locations for students to play and watch esports at Oakland University. And consistent with our top priority of student success, we know that students who are engaged with campus-like activities are more successful in all aspects of their collegiate experience, both inside and outside the classroom, and they graduate sooner. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your attention and ask Chris to come up from Team Renegades for some remarks too. Thank you.
exciting. This is an incredible opportunity for the Renegades. We certainly want to thank Oakland University and Steve and his team for presenting this opportunity. This really is great for the state of Michigan. This is great for our esports organization, Team Renegades. This is great for Oakland University. We will embrace ourselves in the community. We will embrace ourselves with the collegiate athletes, and we are so incredibly excited. So I just want to thank everybody for coming, and we certainly look forward to this opportunity. Thank you.
So for members of the media, any general questions? If not, we'll get into individual ones. Everybody wants to go with
How
wait, here we go.
Norris our checkpoint XP. What went to the calculus of making it an official varsity esport as opposed to just giving more university support to a club or student organization?
Kind of as I mentioned, I thought it's important, I think, to grow it at every level. And we have club soccer programs, like we have a varsity soccer program. And I think there's things within the varsity level that we can do to expand and kind of create more publicity for the entire university in different ways. And the club program can create it in different ways with that publicity and promotion. So it was kind of a holistic, collective kind of initiative, each little level. The stronger our club team is, the better our varsity team is. I hope the better our varsity team is, the better the club teams are. And at the end of the day, what's going to happen is it's going to help Oakland University. So it was a goal to try to spread it out as much as possible and be as inclusive as possible with that programming.
You know, picking the team, are you going to be picking them from the club level?
I certainly would hope club participants, if they're interested, would play. I will hire an expert that knows what he or she is doing, which is not me, in picking those, but it will be open to any full-time male and female student or prospective student who plans to enroll at Oakland University next year. And I would imagine there'll be some club participants who will be very strong candidates to be members of that initial varsity team.
How many students will be on a varsity team?
So initially it will be up to 12 student athletes, 12 gamers, open to male and female, and there'll be 3 sports. League of Legends, Super Smash Brothers, and Rocket League will be our initial 3 sports that we'll play at the varsity level. Oh, and there will be scholarships, so yes, thank you. So we will offer scholarship support to the student athletes, the gamers, and that will be, again, as it is with every varsity sport, the head coach will decide the amount, the allocation, and who should be awarded those scholarships. But they will be meaningful. I mean, they will, on average, the national average for esports scholarships is about $2,000. There's over 15 to 16 million of esports scholarships provided on an annual basis by institutions.
Is that how much yours would be? 2,000?
I think roughly on average 2,000. Yeah, I mean, I think the initial budget would be around $2,000 per participant starting out. Yeah, up to 12.
They can earn other scholarships as well. So they can have an academic one and a need-based, so it'll be stackable.
Much like our current varsity student athletes, they may have an academic plus an athletic scholarship together for their attendance.
So I'm envisioning like a whole bunch of teenagers as they find out about this going to their parents saying, "See, I told you Fortnite wasn't a waste of time." Can you talk a little bit about how this esports changes maybe the definition of athletics and sports, collegiate sports in general?
Yeah, I think I take a very broad definition of athletics. I think the key part is the competitive part. I mean, it's competition, and I also look at there's a tremendous amount of skill involved. And I've been at enough athletic departments to see the whole gamut of varsity sports, where you have some like pistol and rifle, where the specific goal is not to have a high heart rate and to be concentrating and still. I've seen others where it's much more activity. But to me, I think it fits within the definition, the broad definition of human performance skill, their athletic ability, hand-eye coordination. And I think it's exciting to broaden that definition and have esports fit very snugly within that definition.
Have you gotten any response from traditional athletes and how they feel about this?
So I spoke to our co-SAC presidents on Wednesday to let them know. They were very supportive. I'll be meeting with our SAC organization on Sunday night to talk through it. My areas of emphasis is that this is, what we do in athletics is inclusive. They are skilled They are very good at their specific sport, and that the success of all of our sports helps each other's sport. And I would expect the same with our varsity esports, with the other sports, and vice versa.
Can you talk about the maybe the financials of this? Like how much is the university investing? What's the long term? And how much will it potential there to get back?
Sure. So I think right now we're going to get into a use agreement with Game Time on a monthly rate that will allow us access to the facility, which roughly, do you mind if I share that, Chris? Or
That's up to you.
yeah.
I don't think you need to.
Well,
Yeah.
But what in general is like, are you gonna plan to spend on esports?
I would think base funding wise, roughly for first year around $100,000, but I think there'll be some one-time costs to kind of outfit, which will be less than that, less than $100,000. Just as we get things going, whether it's equipment and other items.
And what's the potential return though?
Oh, I think it's incalculable at this point, because what it provides is opportunities for additional sponsorship revenue. It provides opportunities for ticket revenue, whether we host events at the arena or elsewhere, and it provides opportunities to engage donors and others that have an interest in esports. And so in some ways, it's difficult to calculate what that revenue may be, but there is revenue. It's a $1 billion plus industry, $500 million viewers that is consumed largely through online platforms like Twitch, Shaker, and YouTube. And so there's different kind of business models that go with each of those that we certainly plan to pursue and try to figure out how best to create that revenue stream.
Could you give us though a figure on what you anticipate?
Do I expect? I can't, just because it's so much of it's going to be based upon what we derive from a sponsorship standpoint. I think initial conversations with sponsors, I'm very excited that we will cover those costs in year one, but it'd be premature because we haven't had any final commitments or entered any agreements with any potential partners.
But you're saying it's potentially millions?
I mean, I don't think millions. I think it's going to be more than $100,000 in the future. Will that be year one? I don't know. But I think as an industry, it's certainly more than millions. Where Oakland University is within the collegiate esports landscape, we'll figure that out once we get closer.
Can you give context on like what traditional sports is for you guys financially? Because I mean, you've been in March Madness.
I'll just make a general comment about, our budget in athletics. Athletics for us is more of a cost center than it is a source of revenue, just in general. But the major reason for us to engage in this is not as a primary source of revenue. But what it is for us, Oakland is really an entrepreneurial university. And we like to think of ourselves as being on the cutting edge of major new advances. And whether that's major new advances in research, whether that's major new advances in education, or whether that's major new advances in athletics, we see ourselves as being on the cutting edge. And one of the huge opportunities that we think that this brings to us is in the realm of potentially attracting students to Oakland that might not necessarily even think about coming to us. And so, if you think about a potential source of revenue, the biggest source of revenue to us at Oakland is new students. The single largest source of revenue to us is tuition. That is our largest source of revenue. And so, it's not athletics in general, it's not state support, and it's not philanthropy or sponsorships, it's tuition. So for us, the single biggest win that we would get from this program is students who would find it interesting to come to Oakland because we offer a program that is exciting to them. And we recognize that this is the wave of the future. I myself was born in an era where this didn't exist, and even my own children who are in their 30s are getting to be on the old end of this. But my grandchildren are excited by this, and we recognize that students today find this very attractive. And so we think that we will attract a population of students who will be excited by this. And so And we also know that it will enhance their education. And as we indicated, we think that we will educate students in a new way, not just by the fact that they will play in esports, but we will change our curriculum with this as well. We will change curriculum in engineering. We will change curriculum in computer science. We will change our medical school curriculum. We will change our arts curriculum and our music curriculum and our design curriculum, all because of this burgeoning industry. And so it is in a bi-directional exchange that we think that this industry is thriving. So we're not doing this because of the direct revenue that we think is going to come because of this business. There may be some, but there may not be. But there is a lot that we think we will gain from having a large program here. Because we know that students are very excited by it. So I hope that helps expand on the answer to your question.
Could I just ask one more?
Yeah,
From a
and
phys-
I hope that
No,
helps
that's
a little
good.
bit.
From a physician's perspective though, since we are talking about, sports, the body and so on, what, could you talk
For
about
me
your,
as a physician.
yeah, you as a
Yeah,
physician,
having to know that
what
I'm a physician.
esports is really kind of a different way to think about athletics. Can you just offer your
From
own
my perspective as a
Yeah.
physician, yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say, my first reaction to it 5 years ago was, is this going to create a generation of couch potatoes? So I'll just tell you that candidly, I was very concerned about that. And I still am a little bit concerned that we shouldn't allow kids to spend, 5 hours a day doing this. But when I see them now, I think that there are a number of things. Steve mentioned one of them, hand-eye coordination. And there are now studies that show that actually, and I'll just mention this from a medical perspective, that young people that have spent a lot of time doing this make, just specifically in medicine, outstanding neurosurgeons and outstanding surgeons. There are some studies like this that show that individuals who've mastered some of these games have actually gone on to be outstanding in the operating room, for example, because they've been very good at many of these games and other things. So, but we wouldn't want them to spend 5 hours a day doing this, and we wouldn't. I even interviewed a couple of our students who were here today, and I asked them how many hours a day they spend on this, and are they doing their homework? Because this happens to be exam week, and I don't want them to fail their exams. So I asked our students here today that very question, because you can understand that we ask our students to do many things. They have to not just play esports. These are students who are engaged in other things. And by the way, our student athletes, this is something that might interest you, happen to be among our most competitive students in terms of their academic performance at Oakland. So you should know that we will expect the same performance of our esports student athletes. And I already told that to Steve, that should our, that's my expectation of our esports student athletes. We will expect them to be among the highest performers in terms of their academic performance, just as we expect our student athletes in the other sports to be among our highest academic performers. And if we see that that isn't the case, we will worry about how the program is performing, and we monitor these things. As president of the university, my primary responsibility is to academic performance. So,
I've got a question maybe for Team Renegades. Just an aspect of gamers themselves. I think most people out there just think people are just playing video games, but there's got to be a difference between a professional athlete gamer and just a weekend gamer.
Yeah, so we have our players work on the right things. So just like traditional sports, we want them practicing the right way. We want them building teamwork and camaraderie amongst themselves. Our team has sports nutritionists and psychologists that help him work through the ups and downs of gaming. Gaming is still developing, so the athletes within gaming are developing processes along the way. but we really focus on team building exercises, and things that's going to allow our players to communicate effectively when they're competing.
Could you imagine a program like this before your team members were professional? I mean, do you think they probably would have went that direction into college, into one of these sports?
Yeah, so for us, we are starting to build the fundamentals of esports within Michigan. So we have launched our high school leagues as well, which that creates an opportunity for kids at the high school level that wouldn't otherwise have an athletic opportunity, a team building opportunity, people to practice and play with. So that's just escalating through the process of esports. And in a perfect world, what we spoke of is that potentially someone from Clarkson High School, as part of our high school initiative, could work through and potentially receive a scholarship and have the opportunity to play at Oakland University, and then take it one step further to have a professional career in esports.
What is exactly just going to be your team's role in this relationship with OU and this esports?
So we're here to mentor the program as much as possible, to create the fundamentals that we've built over the last few years and implement them into the university structure.
And are these competitions, does everybody get together in one big building or something for the competition, or is it IP based?
So there's two types of competitions. One is online, and the other would be LAN tournaments. So the LAN tournaments are played in person against each other, and then online tournaments are obviously played online.
Is there a league, or what teams will be the competition?
Yeah,
Is it pro or at the collegiate level?
Collegiate.
Oakland University will be facilitating the leagues that they participate in. And yes, there is a league.
Yeah. There's the National Association of Collegiate Esports, which exists right now with about 130 member institutions, and we'll likely be a member of that organization. What I've discovered is the games you play drive what leagues you're in or associations you're a part of. And so obviously we'll be in associations consistent with the three sports that we'll initially start with. And then there'll be other collegiate competition, and then through NACE and otherwise, like you would see with a regular, one of our current sports at the varsity level.
Do you see the athletes mastering like one of those games, not necessarily all of them?
I've been told, and I actually have that, it's a great question and one that I've heard other people ask, and I wondered myself. At the high end, you typically perfect one of the games. Potentially you could have a little bit of crossover, but I think eventually what you see is someone is an expert in one game.
So you're basically like creating three new teams, like tennis, baseball, football.
Yeah, and it's to me almost akin to track and field. So you might have sprinters and long distance and jumpers and hurdlers that are all under the track and field program, but the disciplines are unique enough for that sport. And so we've got 3 esports kind of events, so to speak, with overall esports program.
Can you just maybe briefly talk about the planning process and what kind of work went into creating this esports program at Oakland University?
Sure, it's I think it was kind of a confluence of events. One is esports has always interested me, and it's been something for years that I thought was going to continue to grow. And as we looked at it, Lori Turpak, who's your interim CIO, went to some meetings at the kind of the CIO Michigan level and had said, hey, this is what a lot of schools are looking at. And so about 5-6 months ago, we had people from UTS, so Lori's shop, athletics, admissions, UCM with John, recreation and well-being, admissions, kind of come together to see if Oakland decides to get involved, what does that look like, and how do we best do it consistent with the university's mission and strategic goals. And just people wanted to talk through it, and we got to this point through collaboration and in conversation, because we were all committed to finding a way to get it done and do it the right way.
Are there any longer term plans to build an arena for sports?
Not in the near term. I think I've been told that the arena that we have right now is a very well-sized venue for esports competitions. So one of the things we'll look at down the road is how can we host such esports competitions. Who knows where this goes in 10, 15, 20 years. I do know certain institutions, Full Sail University in Florida, just built arena, multi-purpose arena called the Fortress for their esports teams. They have about 60 varsity athletes. So I would be pretty prescient if I could predict where it's all going to go at this point. So, but I think the key is that we have events in our current footprint and build those.
You mentioned earlier this was the first varsity, esports team in Michigan. Just how has the partnership with Team Renegade kind of helped you and the university kind of navigate these new waters?
Oh, it's been critical, because what you'll learn is esports is it's like a lot of sports. There's a certain expertise involved in those sports, and to do it the right way and to gain credibility, you need to have that expertise. And they have been willing to help, provide feedback. Obviously, their willingness to partner with us and provide this as a venue for our teams is critical. We wouldn't be here without their willingness to provide us feedback to help get to where we wanted to go.
Well, that's kind of like raises a good question for you. So, how does playing other teams work? This isn't like other NCAA sports, right, where you have conferences and so on. I mean,
So it's not an NCAA recognized
Yeah.
sport. There's no Horizon League Esports League, and maybe that happens down the road. But I think through NACE you have NACE competitions. Through other avenues, you just have competitions of other collegiate teams, and then you can also just approach collegiate teams like we would in men's and women's basketball to say, hey, we'd like to play you. Let's schedule a competition and play each other in one of the esports events. And as Chris said, it could be remote or online, or it could be LAN or in person.
so that's not as developed, which could be a challenge, but it's more flexible, which could be an advantage.
Yeah, I think there's events that we'll be able to participate in that are established and ready to go. Now, I don't know how many is realistic, and again, as Ora said, the key here is they're going to be students first and foremost, like all of our student athletes are, and you got to balance it. And excess of it in any sport's not where we want to go. So I don't know how many to be at the top of your game you need to is the right number. It's not as regulated in NCAA. I can tell you exactly how many events each of the sports can have, and that's a regulation that the NCAA has.
Will you have a coaching staff?
We will. So we're going to hire a part-time head coach, and that's one of my first orders of business. And we'll look through those candidates. I've also been told, and I think as this announcement continues to gain momentum and surfaces, we'll have people that are willing to help for whether it's on a volunteer basis or elsewhere. I'm hoping that there are people already at Oakland University in some levels that would bring expertise, because obviously we want to be as open and inclusive and get the right people and that are experts in that footprint. So we will have a coaching staff with one paid position and maybe some volunteer positions